Hazur, he said in one of the answers which Hazur gave, Hazur explained that the beginning of life starts from a female. And I believe he's referring to the verse خَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا. He said he wants to know that this untha has something to do with earth, or it is something else.
Did he listen to my address directly in English, or did he have access to some Arabic translation?
يقول حضرته هل سمعت الإجابة باللغة الإنجليزية أم سمعت الترجمة العربية لإجابة حضرته؟
سمعنا بالترجمة العربية.
That is why. You have failed to understand the whole thing altogether. This is a subject which I have taken up repeatedly during my question answer sessions in different countries, and also during my Quran class, and during the writing of this book, which is now recently published. I have taken up this issue scientifically in the light of the Holy Quran. What is the meaning of unsa? That has to be determined first. So we'll do it bit by bit so that he can do better translation, covering everything. But before speaking of this, I should like to remind you, all of you, that repeatedly I have explained that is the first of is a known Anbiya to us, from whom the evolution of this religion, where Islam was to be the last fruit, began. That Adam is not the one who is referred to as the first man. So forget about it. Men were before him. There are Hadith Nabawiyya speaking of more than 120,000 Adam. So go on confusing this issue with the first man and the Adam who originated that series of religions which were ultimately to evolve in the form of Islam. Also I mentioned a kashf of Hazrat Ibn Arabi, in which he refers to this same hadith. He was once circuiting in Kashf, circuiting Khana Kaaba, and there he saw some strange people who didn't seem to belong to the people known to him. Much earlier older people who were also circuiting Khana Kaaba. And he inquired from them, "Are you the children of the same Adam? Are you the children of Adam?" He said, "Which Adam you are talking about?" So many Adams have passed, we are puzzled which Adam you are talking about. So there Hazrat Ibn Arabi quotes this hadith. Then I understood, he says, the meaning of this hadith. Now, having said all this repeatedly, why people fail to understand this, I'm amazed. The question of this Adam should be dealt separately. He is the beginner of a new movement in religion. That is all where he can be called first. Before him, humans existed for around 300,000 years. And Adams who came before had to be created from humans, not from animals. So all this explains everything. Now I'll turn to my specific treatment of al-unsa and return to the same subject. That I also said that scientifically it is proved beyond a shadow of doubt that humans appeared on earth around 300,000 years before. And Adams, which are referred to in that hadith, evidently were from humans. Appointed by Allah from animals. So this is what at which I completed this subject. Now I'll turn to them. And the other prophets who came before were not from this sulb of this Adam. This point you have not made clear as yet. You see, I said that other Adams who appeared before evidently were not from the sulb of this Adam. They had to be from the sulb of other Adams.
Yes, obviously.
During the period of 300,000 years. And evidently they were humans because Allah could not have appointed His Prophet from among the animals. This you have not clear.
You are
That's right. Now I turn to the term unsa, which I have used, which I have explained in the light of the verse which you said we recite that verse in the beginning of every nikah. اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. Now in this verse, the point which I have emphasized is this: the Holy Quran addresses ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. So where is husband and wife? There are husband and wife. Allah says we created you for nafs wahida. And nafs can be referred to in Arabic as muzakkir. But Allah chooses the word muannis here. This is trying to rub it. And I don't know why. Nafsin wahidatin. Two things must be noted. Life began with a single person, not with Adam and Eve. And it began with a single person which is referred to as unsa, or not unsa but as muannis, not muzakkir. Unsa in the sense it was not muzakkir. Evidently it had to be this, because it is the mothers who carry babies who are responsible for the Holy Quran speaks of profound scientific truth which was not known to men until recent times. So this single verse is a very strong, incontrovertible proof that this verse was revealed by Allah. That is, the Holy Quran was revealed by Allah. It's impossible for a man of that age to have thought of these minute and intricate things at the beginning of life. And remember that no other divine book has mentioned. Studied books far and wide, as far as I could cover them. There is not the slightest mention of this thing anywhere but in the Holy Quran. Scientific evidence of the truth of this verse, I'm now going to present that evidence. According to the naturalists who have studied life, life began without sex. There was no sex. Because there was no sex, there was neither a male nor a female. Life began by bifurcation of a single living cell into two. That is how the proliferation of life in the early stages became possible. You see, there were amoebas. which if they were not divided into two would have died ultimately, and that the amoeba's nucleus should first divide into two, and then the surrounding cell should also divide into two, and they should envelop the nucleus which are so divided, nuclei which are so divided. So life continued for a very long time like this. No male participation was necessary, no male was there to participate. Now the second thing which should be noted is that after a while, according to the Holy Quran, khalaqa minha zawjaha, from nafs wahida, which is not mentioned as human. Nowhere it is mentioned as human. Khalaqa minha zawjaha, from that single cell which used to divide in half, God created its own partner which was to work as male. Now there is a long history of how it developed, which I have partly covered in my new book, which I am giving you the glad tidings about, that Mustafa Sabit Sahib has strongly urged me to permit him to translate this book into Arabic. So the Arabic people, speaking people, inshallah, will be provided with the Arabic translation very soon, I hope, within 1 year. But the problem is that the subjects discussed there are so varied and so vast that many subjects are initially totally unknown to Mustafa Sabit Sahib or to any other scholar who may take up the work. So I had no choice but to accept his insistence that he should be given this chance, because his English is very good. He can cover many parts of the book singly, but he would require help from Arab scholars, even if he has to employ non-Ahmadi scholars who are expert of those subjects which are discussed elsewhere, about which Mustafa Sabit does not know anything himself. He should clearly understand those subjects from those people and then try to translate that part, otherwise he may commit mistakes which will be attributed to me. Returning to the same subject, I draw your attention to the point where وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً is at the end. خَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا. That is the important point. Husband and wife were created much earlier than humans begin to proliferate through husband and wife. خَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا. That minhuma are animals. Humans are not yet created. So from these two parent animals, Rijalan, Kasiram wa Nisa were created, who did not have a human rajul and a human mother before they were created thus. Now this is complicated, but I'll explain that once again to you. When the Holy Quran says, Bassa minhuma, who are those minhuma? Humans are not yet created. They're not humans. Allah is talking of animals. So from two male and female animals, Allah started the creation of humans by and unsa. Evidently, much before human male and female were created, animal male and female were created. And human, male and female, were the offsprings of those, which evidently also speaks of evolution. So the deeper you ponder over this verse, more astonished you are at the depths it covers. In this one single verse, all these things which I have spoken have been referred to, which the scientists have investigated and found this verse to be exactly implemented in nature. And evolution always has been discussed. If you read this verse through, you will have to agree that life evolved and it evolved into humans. So that question is also covered by this verse. At the time of the revelation of this verse, and much later, even to our time, you cannot produce a single book written under divine guidance or so-called divine guidance, which mentions these things. So the Holy Quran is unique. This single verse is enough, is sufficient enough to prove that the revelation of Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ was from God and from no one else.